Good afternoon, students. In the previous class, we have already discussed about extrusion process, methods of extrusion variables, die design, temperatures required. All we have discussed. Then, along with us, in this class, we'll discuss about the extrusion defects and the force required to extrusion forces derivation, and some of the numerical problems will solve in this class. Then, however, before that we'll review the previous class then. So accordingly, extrusion is the process of squeeze forming of a metal under compressive forces which force the metal to flow out of a restricted opening in a die. Then extrusion is generally a hard working process because of large forces required. However, cold extrusion is possible for many metals. Extrusion is widely used for producing cylindrical bars and tubes. Then however, products such as toothpaste tubes, solid and tubular stocks with relatively complex sections can also be manufactured by extrusion process from readily extruded metals such as aluminum. Products of metals and alloys made of aluminum, copper, lead and magnesium, which have relatively low yield strength and low hot working temperatures, are widely extruded. Ferrous materials which have high yield strength and high hot working temperatures are difficult to extrude because of high extrusion forces. Also, they have tendency to stick to the die and container walls under high temperature and pressure conditions. Other popular products made by extrusion process include window frames, railings, tubings, and other various structural members can also be produced. Then extruded sections can be cut into the desired products such as brackets, gears, levers, doors, handles, and fittings for structural and architectural works. So some of the important methods of extrusion are direct and forward extrusion, indirect and backward or inverted extrusion, lateral or side extrusion, extrusion forcing, impact extrusion, hooker extrusion, hydraulic extrusion. All these are the methods of extrusion. So in the direct extrusion, because of the ram movement and the metal flow in the same direction through the narrow opening in the die, then so this will subject to the high frictional stresses, therefore finding a disadvantage in this. In the indirect extrusion, then metal will be flow against to the hollow ram in the container, therefore metal squeezes out through the die opening. Then but in this process, then design of equipment, it is somewhat complicated to design a hollow ram. Then so in the lateral and side extrusion, it is mainly used for highly ductile materials because it is a vertically metal, it is squeezed and metal will be squeezed out in the horizontal direction, therefore high rugged equipments are required. Then in the extrusion forging, then so it is a combination of extrusion and forging to produce a poppet walls for IC engines, as we already discussed in the earlier class. Then so here highly robust equipments are required because high compressive forces are required to withstand them, therefore metal dies wears out fast. Then so in the impact extrusion, then normally it is a closed die. Then metal, it will be completely pressed in the die then and moves upward. Then die wear is fast and it is only for non-ferrous metals and alloys. In the Hooker's extrusion, only cup shaped objects are used to produce hollow tubes. Then so this also need a high extrusion stresses with stand dies. Then so coming to the hydrostatic extrusion, it is a modified method of extrusion process. Then in this process, there is no contact between the work part or a metal and the container wall, therefore completely absence of frictional forces, and even then less forces are required to pressurize through the die. Then however, then liquid completely surrounds the billet and extrusion pads are using along with the ram and process. Then however, all these advantages are along with the methods of extrusion. Then while you are producing seamless tubes, then so ram and mandrel, it is move simultaneously through the die opening, therefore the gap between the die and the mandrel determine the thickness of the tube then. However, fixed mandrel, floating mandrel and solid billets are used for production of seamless tubes. And in the extrusion variables mainly affect the extrusion process, then yield strength of the material, extrusion temperature, then degree of reduction or extrusion ratio, then shape factor or circumscribing circle dia, the die characteristics, the lubrication type, the ram speed, and finally extrusion type, then all will be strongly influenced for the extrusion process. Then metal flow in extrusion, normally metal pattern will be disturbed then, but it is difficult to obtain a homogeneous deformation, and it is difficult to distribute the stresses extrusion forces throughout the hot billet. So due to this reason, then metal it will be subjected to the dead zone at its exit of the water die, then therefore it is also finding some kind of difficulties or defects in the extruded part. Normally direct extrusion and some other methods are required a very high stresses, whereas indirect and hydrostatic extrusions are required less for extrusion forces. However, all we have to take it into account while producing a defects to avoid the parts to avoid the defects. Then extrusion temperatures also strongly influence, so it reaches a semi-solid state and easily you can extrude. But in the cold extrusion, then high rugged equipments are required to force the metal through the die, then so all it will be taken into account then. Once again, design of die also strongly influence to avoid the defect. Then flat and square dies are normally used for non-ferrous metals and alloys, whereas conical metal dies are used for non-ferrous metals and alloys. Normally conical dies has a disadvantage that the more die wear and along the length of the die, and land decreases, thereby reducing its strength and life then. So therefore flat dies are normally used for extrusion process. All these are the different methods and how to produce parts from extrusion process, but each process is having a disadvantage, and normally they form some kind of defects on the extruded parts. The major defects in extrusion parts are inhomogeneous deformation. So this is the most common defect in the extrusion product. This is caused due to the inhomogeneous deformation of the metal, maybe due to insufficient lubrication at the container billet interface, or due to chilling of the metal at the container wall. In direct extrusion, high friction between the billet and the container, and the greater distance that must have traveled by particles near the ram surface result in non-uniform flow of metal. Even if the billet is heated above the temperature required, its skin becomes chilled by the contact with the cold wall of the container, while the core remains hotter. It is clearly shown in the figure then. Under pressure, thus the hot core is more easily extruded than the chilled skin which remains in the container. As extrusion proceeds, the chilled outside skin begins the buckling also, that it is clearly shown in the next figure also, and it is finally forced into the die and gets extruded. This buckled chilled metal in the extruded product form the extrusion defect, that is also call it as a buckling or warping defect then. And even then, due to distribution of the extrusion forces uniformly throughout the container, if it fails, then dead zone it occurs at the exit of the die, then that is also clearly shown in the figure then. So along with this formation of a skull in extrusion process, then the absence of movement between the billet and the container results in turbulence. In the turbulence as compared to that in the direct extrusion process, this results in a negligible extrusion defect then. So there are various methods of overcoming extrusion defect. The common method is to preheat the die and container so as to avoid cracking effect. One more simple method is extrude the billet till the chilled surface starts entering the die and discard the remaining billet. Another method is to use the extrusion pad of smaller dia than the container dia. As the ram pushes the hot billet, it scalps billet circumferentially and the chilled out surfaces layer remains in the container as a skull then. Therefore, skull formation occurs in the extruded part. Since the chilled layer is retained from being extruded, there is no formation of the extrusion defect then. So earlier defect we have discussed that uneven surface or rough surface also it may be formed due to the uneven distribution of the forces throughout the container to process the material through the die then, so that forms a cracks then. Coming to the next defect, that is a extrusion defect then. So as we already shown the skull then, so a chilled layer it cools and core material it pushes through the die then, it forms a skull or a cavity at the end of the die then it extruded along with the product then, that forms the skull then. Then coming to the next what defect, that is extrusion piping then. In extrusion process at the end, when a very small length of billet is left, the billet flows swiftly into the die entrance. Since the last portion is thin, chilled and oxidized, as it enters it forms a funnel shape or axial opening in the extruded product. This hole in the form of pipe gets extruded into the component to the certain length. This is exactly termed as a piping defect. This defect can be avoided by discarding the defective length of the piping formed then. That it is clearly shown in the here then. So initially it forms and conical shape cavity it forms at the exit of the die then. So that is formed along with the extruded part, that we call it as a piping defect then. That is another type of defect then, that should be avoided. So then coming to the surface cracking then, surface cracks are of different types, may be formed in the extruded products based on the nature of deformation and the surface condition. Higher the surface oxidation, good surface chillness, more are the chances of surface cracks formation. Even higher ram speeds may lead to the surface cracking defects. Another type of surface cracking may also due to the lower working temperature. In this, the product gets stick at the die land momentarily as the extrusion pressure rises, it moves forward. Again, after some time, the product gets struck and move forward under high pressure. Repetition of this cycle generates periodic circumferential cracks on the surface. Since these cracking resembles the surface of bamboo stem, this defect it is termed as a bamboo defect. It is highlighted here then. At last then, center burst or chevron cracking then. So internal cracks are also termed as a burst or a arrowhead fracture or a chevron cracking then, may occur at the center of the extruded product. These products are due to a state of hydraulic tensile forces at the center line in the deformation zone. This defect usually occurs at a low extrusion ratios and high die angles. The defect is a result of high frictional conditions at the die surface and improper metal deformation. These defects can be avoided by the use of suitable die and lubrication, favoring sound material flow and a homogeneous deformation, that it is clearly shown in the figure. You see in the figure or observe in the figure then, a jipped type cracks or chevron cracking discontinuous fractural surface discontinuous are formed on the extruded part then. You can observe clearly on the work part then. So this is exactly a chevron cracking then. So coming to the expression for extrusion force then, Ram's force is dependent of a number of process parameters such as um, yield strength, temperature, extrusion ratio, or degree of reduction, the die characteristics, the lubrication type, ram speed, the type of extrusion process, all will be strongly influenced for design of extrusion forces or extrusion equipment for determination of the extrusion force then. So, however, it is difficult to compute exact theoretical ram force, but based on the yield strength, then it is difficult to produce exact ram force, because ram force is much higher, about 50% than the what theoretical value. However, it all depends upon the yield strength of the what work pieces to be extruded. So consider an ideal extrusion process. In this, billet is extruded into a cylindrical rod through a square die. Let Li is the what length of the billet, A is the area of the billet before extrusion, Lf is the length of extruded part, Af is the area of extruded part, sigma y is the yield strength of the billet material. For ideal process, volume remains constant always. Therefore, initial volume equals always final volume. Lia is equal to Lf Af. That what ideal condition of the extrusion process, it is clearly shown in the figure with the what initial length, area, and final length and area have already shown in the ideal condition of the extrusion process. Then now consider the extrusion process of an elemental length dl. Therefore, work done is equal to force into distance. So that can be written as stress into area into distance. Accordingly, sigma y into A into dl for a small change in length. For a given volume, we can write it as work done by V is equal to sigma y into A into delta L by A into L. A into L. Therefore, work done is equal to V sigma y A into delta L divided by AL. So, this we can simplify by integrating. Work done is equal to W is equal to sigma y into V into integration between the limits Li initial length to the final length of what delta L by L then. So that's by simplification integrating sigma y into V, that is a constant you can already taken out, ln of Lf by Li. Using equation initial volume equal to final volume, by simplification Lf by Li is equal to Ai by Lf. By left hand and right hand terms transformation can simplify this. Therefore, work done W is equal to sigma y into V into ln Ai by Af, or W is equal to sigma y into Li Ai. V is nothing but a what? Length into area into length, ln of Ai by, you call it as equation 1 then. Then work done is given by W is equal to extrusion force into billet length, that is F into Li. By equating equations 1 and 2, we get F into Li is equal to sigma y into Lia ln of Ai by Af, or F is equal to sigma y into Af ln Ai by Af, by what simplifying them or cancelling the terms on either side, then we will get what extrusion force then. So this is the relation used for determining the extrusion force then. Now we will solve some of the numerical problem then. First problem we will solve it now then. Read thoroughly the first problem. Estimate the capacity of the extrusion press to extrude I section of 20 mm height with 10 mm wide flanges and 2 mm thick using 30 mm dia bar stock of an aluminium alloy. Take the yield strength of the aluminium alloy as 150 Newton per millimeter square. Assume 25% friction losses and a square die. So in this problem, you note down the what given data. Then D is given as 30 and I section of cross sections they have given. Then area 1, area 2, area 3, then 10 by 2 for A1, 10 by 2 for A2, and 16 by 2 by reducing the thickness 16 into 2. Then so therefore initial dia is equal to pi d square by 4, that is pi into 30 square by 4, that is 707 millimeter square. Then coming to the area final, A1 plus A2 plus A3, that is of 72 square. So we have the extrusion force equation. Fi is equal to sigma y into AI ln AI by AF. So substituting the values in this equation, you will get the what force required. So accordingly 150 into 707 into ln of 707 by 72, you will get 2,42,257 Newton. Then if you reduce into the tons, then so force in tons is 24.7 tons. By considering losses, F is equal to 24.7 into 1.25, that is 30.9 tons. Then that is of what force required for extruding the given product. Coming to the what next problem, then a brass billet is to be hot extruded into a rod using a square dia. The dia of the billet is 150 and the dia of the extruded rod is 30 Taking the yield strength of the brass as 250 megapascal, estimate the extrusion force, neglect the frictional forces or losses. So in this problem, that the given data is initial dia and final dia such as 150 and 30 they are given, yield strength 250 megapascal they are given. Therefore initial area is of what pi d square by 4, pi into 150 square by 4, that is 17,671 square, and final area pi d square by 4 is equal to 5 into 30 square by 4, that is 707 square. It is substituted and determined. The extrusion force is given by F is equal to Fy into A into ln of A by F. Accordingly, sigma y is 250 they have given. A is what 17,671 they have given, determined. Then and ln of 17,671 divided by 707 is what by simplifying and you will get what extrusion force of about 14 lakhs 21,000 14219189 Newton. Then in terms 1,450 tons it is required. So however large working forces, extrusion force are required for the metal into the die. Then in the third problem, then estimate the maximum force required for extruding a cylindrical billet of aluminum billet of 50 diameter and 75 length to a final dia of 10 Take coefficient of friction mu is equal to 0.15 and yield tensile yield strength sigma naught is of what 170 Newton per millimeter square. So maximum force required for extruding cylindrical aluminum billet you have to determine. So accordingly you look at the figure. Then so dia of the billet before extruding, dia of the billet after extrusion, and average dia and the small change in dia dx length they have given. Then assuming alpha, then dia angle beta here, then 45 degree they have is to be assumed. Then so roughly you can form this what forces along with a given parameter. Then so accordingly the given data, initial length is of 75 and dia before extrusion 50 dia after extrusion 10 assuming 45 degree dead zone angle. Then so then length of length maximum is equal to 75 minus dx. From figure cot alpha is equal to dx divided by db minus da by 2. where dx is equal to, by simplifying, db minus da by 2 into cot x. Therefore, substituting these values in the equation, 50 minus 10 divided by 2 into cot 45. Therefore, dx is equal to 20 into 1, where since cot 45 is 1, therefore you will get a 20 mm dx then. By using this in the equation, you can able to get the what beta value. So beta is equal to mu cot alpha. So that you know the relation, that is mu is 0.15 and cot 45. You substitute these values in this equation, you will get a 0.15 beta then. Then stress at the entry you can determine by using the equation sigma x at entrance is equal to sigma naught into 1 plus beta divided by beta into dB by dA to the power of 2 beta minus 1, where beta is a coefficient of friction then. So then substituting those values or given values in the equation, you will get a what value of about sigma xb, means sigma entrance of the die then or extrusion is of what 809 Newton per mm square. So hence maximum force required also you have to determine. So force required is equal to yield stress plus shear stress then. So yield stress is given by pi d square by 4 into sigma, and shear stress is determined by sigma naught by root 3 into pi into dB into L then. So substituting all these in this equation, then you will get a value of about 2436.44 kilonewton then. So all these are the numerical problems, and the what defects in extruded parts are very important for the examination point of view with the earlier topic then. Therefore students need to concentrate more about this then. So I hope all you will all you have understood and work out these problems and be prepared for the examination. Thank you then.